Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of When the Cleats Come Off Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Burkhart, and I have a two-time Olympian and a record holder in all the things at UCLA. She's won a national title. She's got all these notorieties, and we literally just met not too long ago, but I cannot wait to get into this conversation with Natasha Watley. Hey girl.
Hey girl. Hey, thanks for having me. This is going to be fun. I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
I'm just so excited for slappers to finally get some love on this podcast. I mean,
I love that.
I've had JT Gasso talking about hitting. We've had Sue Enquist, one of the GOATs who you played under on the pod. So finally slappers are going to get a ton of love today. I'm excited for them to learn from you.
Yes, no, that's great. And slappers, we need love. They need love, and we need more of them in our game. And so I'm happy to share a little bit of love to them. So
yeah,
thanks for bringing light to that, for sure.
Absolutely. So I was actually, you don't know this about me, I was 12 years old when I moved from the right side to the left side. And I was picking up slapping. Some people would say, oh, that's late to pick up, the left side or to switch. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, Dad and I used to research a bunch of YouTube videos, and let alone it was Sue Enquist YouTube videos and you were slapping in them. So,
which is so funny. I was her model dummy.
I mean, when you're the best, it's easy. Like you got to just pull you out and use all your skills. But anyway, so before we get into all the things slapping, I would like the audience to kind of get to know you. Cause I mean, this is a podcast where there's mostly parents and coaches hanging out with us. And they want to do right by their athlete. Like if their athlete says, I want to be a slapper, I think understanding your story would be really powerful for them to hear. So take us back to young Natasha and all the way to where you are now.
Many moons ago. Who would have known that this game, I would still be in it, and which is so crazy. So I started playing when I was 5, and I grew up in Irvine in SoCal, California, which is coined as a hotbed of softball, but had no idea about that growing up in Irvine. And my story is I came across softball. There was this young girl, Coral Bain, and actually like we're still like Instagram friends. Like she was the coolest chick in my elementary school. Like she was like the queen of recess. Like she was just so cool. And so she had like this flyer that was passed out in her first grade class. And she's like, I'm signing up for softball. I played last year. Take it home, sign up too. And I'm like, Coral's doing it. I'm doing it. Let's go. I was only child, and so I'm super shy, quiet. Like, so honestly, like I just was like wanting to be around other girls and just have friends, And so I took this home to my parents and asked them, sign me up for softball. My dad's from Louisiana, super Southern man, loves basketball, football, had no idea what softball was. Mm-hmm. Mom, the same. My mom's from the Bahamas. Had no idea what softball was. They both are like, we have no idea what this is, but let's give the girl what she wants. And, so I'm just thankful that they gave me what I wanted. And I really wanted softball because here I am, 35 plus years later, well, almost 35 plus years, but, still in the game. And like, I literally, like, I always say like the moment I first played, like I instantaneously like fell in love. Like, I mean, there's just so many things. Like, it's just like you're overstimulated. Like there's, you can be a good pitcher, you can be a fast runner, you could be a great hitter. Like there's just so many things about the game that you can try to improve and get good at. And so like, it was just like all these things that I just wanted to like try out and be good at. And I was doing it with other girls. And so I don't know, like and I'm a big Beyonce fan.
Yes, so actually, all are, sister.
I know. I love the woman. So, and I always compare my first moment playing. So actually a funny story, my first time playing, I played t-ball, totally hit the ball off the tee, and I run to third first, like sprinting towards third. And it's kind of like this moment where everybody's like, oh my gosh, stop. And I'm like booking it. But it was like, I say it was my Beyonce moment where hair was blown in the wind and like, just like slow motion and like, just, really having the time of my life. And ever since, I love the game. I haven't been able to get away.
That's incredible. Yeah. I love it. I love it. So that was the beginning journey, the spark, I love this. But where did slapping start kind of coming into that picture?
Yeah, I'm like you, Ashley. So I didn't start slapping until I was 12, 13 as well. So from 5 to probably 11, 12, I only played rec ball
Mm,
and played in our local rec league. And then, which was also awesome, my dad, started to like buy into the softball thing. And like, I am so thankful for him. He's the one who would go out and like see what the next level looked like. So he would see, oh, there's travel ball. Oh, there's our local high school. There's college. Let's go see that. So he came across slap hitting and came across a travel ball team. And this coach said, like, I'll take Natasha and I'll teach her how to slap. And so that was all he needed to hear. And so I came across slap hitting when I was 12, 13. Same thing. I was a right-handed. I'm naturally right-handed. Started on the right side. And
love
then
it.
funny again, is I would start my at-bats on the left side, get 2 strikes, and then like literally have this walk of shame
To the right.
back to the right side to finish my at bat. And so like my biggest advice to all newbie slap hitters is like start and finish your at bat on the left side, and you'll learn so much more, because at that moment that the at bat literally was already over, like just dragging my
Yeah.
bat to the right side. So
Yeah.
12, 13 is when I first started.
That's so awesome. Yeah. You never want to think of slapping as like a crutch. Like,
Right.
like you gotta,
Right.
you gotta be able to fail. I say this all the time. You gotta be able to fail to be able to make a change. Right. And so
Exactly.
yeah. And I noticed throughout your career, you didn't just slap. Like you weren't known for just slapping and bunting. You were a power hitter and you were a
Yeah.
great triple threat.
Yeah, eventually,
Yeah.
eventually. So that didn't come until like later in my game. So I would consider myself a late bloomer as well. So when I first started slapping 12, 13, probably to my junior year of high school, did I really put some emphasis into hitting away. So like there was just this long period of time where I just mastered slap hitting, and I literally was just touch and go, put the ball in play, like, try to use my asset and use my speed and get on base. So I didn't really have like a power slap. I didn't really hit away. I probably just would only bunt, tap and go, use the ground. And so probably until like my junior, senior year of high school did I really start implementing hitting away. And obviously when I went to college. So yeah, I mean, I think it's like this evolution of just trying to add all of these tools, and people think right out the gate you've got to like have all of them. And I definitely, like, if I'm training athletes now, obviously, we've gone through the fire, and I definitely am training them a little bit different now. Like, yes, like you should be starting to hit away now, whereas I waited a little bit longer. It worked out.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, to play at the top level, you've got to have all the things, right?
Right. And that makes me think of like pitching. Like you're not going to learn the fastball, the changeup, the drop ball,
Right.
the screwball, like all the
Right.
things at once.
Right.
But if you were to break down slapping, what is the first thing that you're teaching your slappers then?
Yeah, I'm the basics. So, we're going to start with your foundation, which is like your footwork, your timing, your hands, like just kind of stay grounded to your mechanics, making sure that you're perfecting that. Cause those are the things that are like your non-negotiables. Like you've got to have footwork, especially now in the college game. Your feet are everything.
Yeah.
If you step on the line, you're out. So making sure that that's solid, making sure that timing's always an issue. No, it doesn't matter if you're facing. It doesn't matter if you're in the beginning of your slapping journey or the end. Like you're always facing different pitchers with different windups and different speeds, and some of their different pitches are different speeds. So it's like timing is a really important piece of slapping, and I think the hardest thing for young ladies who turn to the left side to actually learn the timing piece. So I think that would be the first thing, is like the kind of the mechanics. And then you can kind of get into kind of just like a soft slap, just trying to like put the ball in play, trying to bounce the ball, use the ground, and kind of work your way up from there.
I love it. I love it. Now, because you're so humble, we haven't even talked about college, like where you lit it up. And I will say this. So back when I was watching television, like the only thing on TV was the Olympics and Women's College World Series. You've been to the Women's College World Series. You've won the Women's College World Series. So can you talk about, like, as a slapper, I mean, you did both. You were a triple threat. But like, how was your evolution through college? Because I know there's a lot of older athletes probably listening too that are like, they think that they need to be at their peak freshman year of college. And you and I were not that at all. Like, we found our peak much later.
Yeah. And I think that that's like the beauty of it, is coaches are always like looking for potential. They're not looking for perfection. And so I think I'm hoping that I had some potential, and that's why, Coach Enquist, wanted me to come and play for her. But when I first started playing for her, like I told you, my junior, senior year, I started because I knew I wanted to play in college, and I knew that was a thing. I had to implement a power piece, but it wasn't perfect. I had just started to do it. So it was just kind of, I would spray in, hitting away here and there. And then once I got to college, like Sue really, 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 she always would say, like, why not reinvent yourself? Like, because I was good with just slapping and getting on base, and like, that's what you recruited me here for. And so she would challenge me, is like, why not reinvent yourself? And the whole thing of just being uncomfortable, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And so I think my sophomore season in the fall, she literally just took slap hitting away from me. She's like, you're only hitting away. And so I had to like survive by like just being able to hit away, because slap hitting is like my survival mode. Like whenever I'm uncomfortable, I'm just going to go back to she's not really going to add this piece, Natasha, until you just dedicate some time. So literally she just took away slapping for me, and I just had to only hit away during the fall. And I think that was a blessing in disguise, because it really allowed me to grow. And eventually I went on and had like double digits in home runs. And so I give a lot of credit to her in challenging me to incorporate the things. And just like you said, like, you don't have to come in all prim and proper. Like there's a lot of, grooming that's going to be done at the college game. And I think just understanding and learning the game as well. And like learning when and why I should be slapping in this situation. And like that really becomes clear why I should be hitting in this situation. And so you don't have to have all the things, like just, I think they're recruiting potential and not perfection, for sure.
Absolutely. So when it comes to potential, it's like work ethic, discipline, like the simple things that people kind of take for granted, I think sometimes are huge. So let's go back to Sue for a second. I mean, we literally just had her on the podcast this week. I mean, this podcast will air a little bit later, but I mean, it was so fun getting to know her, because you realize, her mentor was John Wooden, and he was instilling more character traits than anything. Like it wasn't about national championships. It was about developing human beings. Right. So how do you feel Sue impacted you, from maybe more of like a personal level? Because you expressed the physical.
Yeah. How much time do we have, Ashley? This woman,
wait, you told me everything.
How much time we have. Yeah, I know. This woman is everything to me. If I didn't have Sue Enquist in my life, there is no Natasha Watley, and that's like the honest truth. She's helped me in more ways than none, more ways than in any, like I don't even know where to begin. I think the first thing is just her not only just believing in me as a softball player, but as a person. And I think for playing for her, like she makes you believe that you can walk on water. And I truly believe that I could walk on water playing for her. And I realized that, once I left UCLA, I'm like, wait, all these other people don't think I can walk on water? Like, what's going on? And I think she brings that out of you. I learned how to compete playing for Sue. I learned how to use my voice and to articulate myself and to speak. So my favorite story about Sue is I'm just a really reserved, quiet, and imagine my 18-year-old self. Like I never talked. I was on mute and just timid and like scared and like, I don't even know who, like just how she even saw potential in me, because I was just so timid and shy. So what she would do is my freshman season, she would make me come to her office every day before practice. And she would video, and I'm like, it sounds so kind of awkward now, but it's not that awkward, but she would film me. So I would come meet her in her office, and she would film me for about like 30 minutes. And she'd make me talk about my day, what I learned at class, like what I'm working on and softball. And I would just be so angry. I'm like, this has nothing to do with softball. And I would just be like walking to her office pissed every single day.
Yeah.
But she always would tell me, people are going to want to hear what you have to say one day, Natasha. So I'm just prepping you for when people actually want to hear what you have to say, you're ready to unleash. And so what she was trying to do is just get me comfortable with speaking up and talking, because I just never wanted to share my opinions. I never wanted to talk And even just on the field, I just wanted to like, we've got two, like whatever, like let's just make, like I just thought I could just show up, but like how important it is to communicate and be vocal, being a shortstop, being a leader, on the infield, and making me more vocal. So I'm like so forever indebted to her for just pushing me off the field to just be comfortable in my own skin, and just be comfortable with my voice, and being able, and how powerful it is to be able to speak up for yourself. And I mean, just public speaking in general. I mean, she is the person who has taught me how to be a public speaker, to speak in front of a crowd. She's taught me how to create a PDF. I mean, I learned how to make a PDF on the computer from her. I've learned so many things from her, and she continues to like lean into me business wise. She's like now my like life mentor. She wasn't just a coach. I still talk to her regularly all the time. And, any new decision or big decision, like next to my parents, like she's my next phone call, and so she has been, I could talk on and on about her. She's been like, honestly, the biggest mentor and the biggest supporter in my life. Like literally there's no Natasha without coach. So I love the woman.
Wow. Wow. We both need to send her a message right after this and be like, oh my gosh.
She's great. She's the greatest. That's
amazing. Honestly, sitting down with her is, I kid you not, I asked her like probably 4 questions the entire interview. And she just went on for like 2 hours straight about just like these mind-blowing one-liners and just all of this optimism. Like you're saying, like she makes people feel, and athletes and anyone feel like they can walk on water. And she gets on parents that don't make their athletes feel that way.
Right.
And I think it's a pretty powerful thing what she's up to. And like we talked about one softball and all the things that she's up to, but it's so cool. It's so awesome to have a mentor like that.
We call them her Suisms. Her Suisms. Little, like, her Suisms, yeah, because she's got a ton of them. Like
tons.
I could rattle off like 55 of them for you, but we won't.
Then we don't run out of time for sure. Anyway, okay, so you played for Sue, and then you went off to play in the Olympics. Can you tell me, people always ask, like, what's the game like when you get to that level? And I'm sitting here like, I have no idea. I mean, I'm assuming the game still gets faster because it's the best players in the world. But can you just share a little bit about that experience as well, and how maybe it shaped and formed you?
Yeah, well, you're playing with the best of the best. And I think in the college atmosphere, you're in an environment that you are surrounded by people who are not going to let you fail.
Yeah.
There's so many resources in the college atmosphere, right? You've got your tutors, you've got people that are going to help you academically, you've got your strength and conditioning trainers that are going to help you get in shape and get to that next level. And then you've got your softball coaches who are going to make sure that they challenge you to make you the best softball player. So you're just surrounded, and you're just in this environment. It's a whole new ball game when you leave college and you go out into the real world, and you become an Olympian, because now you're considered a professional. You're considered, the top of the top, and it's on you. It's obviously, yes, we're playing a team sport, but it's very individual based on, how I'm going to prepare myself, and there's a lot of time that's spent away from the team. And so a lot is put on you in terms of training. And so like, that was like a big, huge jump for me, like not having like this support every single day, and not having like a plan personally set out for me when I was at home. And like, that was a really hard thing for me to learn. It's like, wait, what? Like, this is all on me? Like, this is the Olympic game, but like, you're a professional. And so, yes, the game is faster. Women are stronger, smarter. It's just all of the elements, and you're playing with the best of the best. And I think, I thought that at the college game, like I was at the top, and I didn't realize like there was just like this whole other gap where I had to reach and where I had to go. And, I'm also thankful too for playing with Lisa Fernandez and Laura Berg, Leah Bryan and Mika, like these women who I grew up looking up to, and then now having the opportunity to play with them and seeing how they prepared every single day. I just was like, I am so far off. I have so much work to do. And I'm just thankful that I had these models to be able to see what that preparation looked like and that hard work looked like. And so, but it's a huge jump, and it's a huge gap, and it's, people just think, if you're the top collegiate player, you should be able to play at that next level. And that's not the case, because it really is a whole nother level. Now we're dealing with the world, and we're dealing with
Yeah.
the world's best athletes. And so you've got to really bring everything is connected. Like you've got to, go that extra gap, that extra mile.
Yeah. And it takes an elite athlete to know that there's always a next level. Like even when
Right.
you think you're at the best, you're like, whoa, I still got a lot to work on. So
Right.
especially those young athletes that are like, I have so much to do.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would say pick one thing, get really
Mm-hmm.
good at it, move on to the next. Because like you're
Mm-hmm.
saying, and actually I'm going to bring up a memory I have of you. So my first year playing in the league, this was your last year playing in the NPF. And I remember, you probably have no idea or remember this, but we were sitting down at dinner. A bunch of people from the Pride were there. I don't even know I was there, to be honest. I just was. And I think I asked you, like, when did you peak? Like, when do you feel like you peaked in the game? And you were like, oh, like when I was 27.
Right.
And I'm literally 27 right now.
That's
And I'm
awesome.
like, and it's crazy because I'm like, take me, like, I want to play right now, because
Right.
even though I haven't played or, competitively in 4 years, I feel
Right.
like every year you get to gain more knowledge and be around
Oh,
other people that know the game. So I love that you were like, I peaked at 27. I'm just like mind blown, because there's not really an opportunity. I mean,
mm-hmm.
there are more now. Like there are
Mm-hmm.
much more opportunities to continue playing until
Right.
27 and
Right.
beyond. I mean,
Right.
look at Kat,
Right.
look at Monica.
Right. Right.
Um,
But it's your wisdom and your maturity and your softball IQ like goes to another level. Like when I was 27, like I couldn't get out. Like and that's like, I'm just telling you, just in terms of peaking. Like I'm like, what, like this. It's not that the game was easy, but it was just being able to manage. When the failure did happen, like it was just this maturity that you just are able to kick into this other gear. And like physically, like I was so in shape, and I knew my body, I knew myself, I knew what I needed to do to prepare to be the best. Like you just like know so much more about yourself when you're playing older as opposed to younger, because when you're younger you're still trying to figure it out. But definitely peaked like 27, 28. And is my biggest advice to any young lady who's coming out of college. It's like, play the game as long as you possibly humanly can. I know, like you said, opportunities are few far in between, but it's literally like it's mind blowing the things that you can achieve and accomplish at that age and that level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what advice would you give a 12-year-old out there that's like, I need to peak before college because I need to get recruited? Like there's a lot of pressure right now on the youth athlete.
Yeah.
So like what advice would you give in that regard?
Honestly, I would discourage that, because as we know, peaking prior to college will do nothing for you once you get to college. And so I think, again, going back to coaches are recruiting potential, and they're not recruiting perfection, and so they're not looking for that athlete who's like peaked. And I think I think when we talk about just the mentality this day and age, it's like that instant gratification. And I think really, if my advice to a 12-year-old is like, enjoy being a 12-year-old and enjoy being a kid and enjoy the journey, because like those are like my best memories, is like when I share about falling in love with the game. It's like really, really like this like love affair that like just changed daily. Like I just love the game more and more every single day, because there's like new things that you're learning, new things that you can get good at. And like I really value that time, now looking back in my career, and like those are times and days that you don't get back. And so as a 12-year-old, like enjoy being a 12-year-old, enjoy learning the game, and from a 12-year-old's perspective, I should say, and not looking too far ahead. Yes, obviously have goals, have an idea of where you want to be, but really just, I think it's that like getting that 1% better every single day. That's a suism, and something that I'm sure that we hear all the time, but just really like that journey of just really being the best you at 12, and not so much
Yeah.
trying to be an 18-year-old at 12 years old, trying to be your 18-year-old self. Like that's just sounds like not fun at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's really powerful. You said this before. It's honestly knowing yourself
Mm-hmm.
and, knowing and being very honest with where you are is really important. So
Mhm.
I love that you break it down that way because, Matthew McConaughey, I don't know if you saw this, but like when he won the Oscar one year for I don't even know which movie it was, he was always talking about his role model. And it was
Mhm.
like himself 10 years from now. Like, and so the decisions that he's making now, he's saying, okay, what would my 10 years older than myself, like, what would he say about this? And I love thinking
Yeah.
and breaking that down within softball too, because it's
I
like,
love
if you're searching to continue to just keep growing and keep evolving and be inspired by your future self,
Mhm.
that'll make, all the mistakes that you have at 12
Mhm.
all be so that your older self will be like, well, I'm glad you learned it then instead of
Totally.
now. So
Totally. I love that. And I love that analogy. And it's so true. Like you want to be proud of your 12-year-old self, Um, yeah, I think there's so much emphasis on trying to be everything at 12. And it's not realistic for sure.
absolutely. Oh, that was so good. Okay, so let's go into slapping. I'm ready for this part.
Okay.
Let's go into your baby. Okay, so as a hitting coach, like I've taught a lot of slappers how to slap because for 2 years in college, I was a triple threat until
Hmm.
my team needed me to be simply a power hitter, which I turned
Right.
into that. So I know like the basics about it, but I feel like you can describe it in a way better way than I can. So first of all, my first question for you is, how similar is slapping and hitting?
Super similar. I mean, similar in terms of having to be on time or having like the timing down, because timing is such an important piece of just hitting away in general. Same
Mm-hmm.
for slapping. Um, like pitch selection is the same. There's so many things that are similar. I think obviously the only difference is that slapping is like this awkward feeling of now I'm going to sprint towards a pitcher who's trying to throw as hard as she possibly can or
Right.
trying to move the ball as much as she possibly can. And now I've got to
Mm-hmm.
make contact. Like that doesn't make any kind of sense. But
Right.
I think that that's like the hardest part when you're first turning someone over to the left side. But I think that there's so many similarities in terms of just mechanics and understanding your body and the way that you're moving. And I think again, reiterating the same thing, but timing is just so important.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked that question simply because a lot of people are like, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know how to actually like do the motion
Mhm.
of slapping. And I'm like, well, technically, and this is to call me a layperson here. I think of as long as you're in that grounded foundation of where you're in your crossover, so your left foot's over your right, and you're pretty grounded, working from the ground up is still a thing as a
Mhm.
slapper for most slaps. I mean, at least, a hard slap and
Yeah,
things.
you're right.
Um,
Yeah, you're right.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Too, and then I was like, she's still going, so I didn't want to cut you off. But no, you're right. I mean, even defensively, like that's just the philosophy is like from the ground up. Like you start from your foundation, and that's like your legs. And so staying in your legs while you're hitting is going to be important. Staying in your legs while you're slapping, your lower half is going to mimic your upper half. And like again, we want to make sure that we are staying, closed and square to the plate, and we're not opening up and we're not vacating. And so I think like your foundation is your bottom half,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think starting from the ground up is super important. And like that's where similarities with hitting are the same. Like we've got to make sure that all of these things are in alignment, to put myself in the best situation to make good contact.
Yeah. And so this is where slapping starts to get kind of tricky. There's multiple types of slaps.
Yeah.
So could you maybe as fast or as long as you want, talk about, maybe each slap and like
Yeah.
some things to really think about if you're wanting to get into that type of thing?
Yeah. So for me, it's super simple. Like like I'm not trying to overcomplicate it, and it's kind of like your analogy about a pitcher, like
Yeah.
like a drop, a curve, a rise, and then when people start to make up like, well, I've got like a drop, curve, rise, like, and then da 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 da, like, let's just keep it simple. Like let's not
Yeah.
overcomplicate things. And so for me, it's a soft slap. Soft slap to me is just like a tap and go. We want to make middles have to charge this ball. We want this something hard enough to get past a corner. This is something if, I see the middle inflators playing behind the baseline, like I just want to beat them out, or if I'm moving a runner, just something to put in play a little bit soft. I have a bounce slap. That's what I call it. And that's literally using the ground, trying to get 2 bounces, getting height. That's what I call it. And then I call a hard.
Yeah. Some people call it a chop slap too, I
A
think,
chop
right?
slap. So same thing. Chop, bounce. But for me, I don't like chop because then I think of actually like chopping down.
Yeah.
And I don't want my slappers to chop down. So we're literally like bouncing the ball. So we're just trying to like put the ball in play, touch and go, trying to get height.
I like yours better. I like that. I'm gonna
bounce.
keep
go
bounce.
for it. I mean, it's for me, it's like the chop, like, no, we're not. I used to do the Atlanta Braves, so we're not, doing the Atlanta Braves, whatever. But
go Dodgers, though, by the way.
Yeah, I know. I'm so excited.
We're recording this literally the day after they won.
I know. I love it. I was literally checking my phone during practice yesterday. My mom, I love my mom. She's like sending me texts. We're up. This game is stressful. Oh my gosh. Just like, they got to take it home tonight.
That's so exciting.
So yes, go Dodgers. And then the last slap, power slap. So it's either power or hard slap. To me, it's the same thing. For me, like slaps, I'm not technically trying to hit anything over the fence. So power slaps to me is hitting through the alleys. I'm searching for the green. I'm trying to get it past infielders. Like, it's just, I don't want to overcomplicate it. Like, it's just simply that. Like, I'm not trying to blast this out of the park. Because that's what hitting away is for. Like, I can hit it out of the park if I stand in and hit away. And so, again, it's 3 slaps for me. So it's soft slap, bounce, hard or power, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had a slapping lesson with someone not too long ago, and they were telling me that they've been taught there's a difference between a hard slap and I'm totally having a brain fart. But like they added another slap, and I was like, to me, it's just a hard slap.
Right. Because what's your goal? Like, you're just trying to hit it hard or power it through the infield, I don't know, but call me old school, because I know there are some who are running through the box, literally trying to hit it over the fence. And I think that does happen. That has happened to me before, but like, it wasn't intentional, it was literally just trying to stay on time, be compact, get it to the green, and get it over the fence. But like, I wasn't physically trying to do that. And so it's like almost painful to watch when someone's like grinding it out and trying to like really literally hit it over the fence, when I guess and the game has changed and evolved, and I'm always for like, why not, but I also think when you're training that way, it takes away from the mechanics of trying to stay short and compact, and the whole point of slapping is to challenge defenders and put the ball in play as easily as you possibly can.
Absolutely. So a scenario right here. Let's say the corners are in pretty far because they know Natasha's up. She's super fast. And, even maybe the middle infielders are in a step or two. I know it's going to depend specifically like where everybody's played, but like if you had that ideal slap in that scenario, what would you choose?
If everybody's playing in, then I would go for a harder power slap, just trying to get it through like up the middle. Obviously I'm going to be more inclined to do it too if I've got like a rise ball pitcher or someone who's like more up in the zone, because they're already elevating the pitch for me. So that's going to help me get it to the green.
Right.
So I think if I see everybody in my face, and that's another thing with like reading defenses, is just keeping it super simple. Like, if they're in your face, hit it hard. If they're playing you back, do something soft. So, I think it's, overcomplicating reading defenses. It's literally like, we are just trying to, slapping 101 is hit it where they're not. And if we're hitting it to them, I'm challenging them. So if I'm bouncing it to you shortstop, like, I'm challenging you. So it's me against you, and let's see who wins this race, so it's not overcomplicating it too much. And so that's one of the biggest things that I've been trying to stress. It's not rocket science on reading defenses. There is, obviously some thought process that goes into it. And, obviously we can talk about more strategies, but just keep it simple.
Yeah. I think that was one of the things when I transitioned from being a triple threat to simply a power hitter. I always loved beating. I mean, who doesn't love beating people? It's competition. We played a sport where we're beating people, but I loved picking out the weakest link. I don't know if that's mean to think about, but I'm like, okay, how can I beat you? And like,
Right.
that was something fun as a slapper. Did you ever do that?
100%. Like, and like, I'm like walking up to plate, this girl at third, she doesn't even know it, but I'm about to challenge her, like challenging you, you know, like just that, like, and that's what I feel like. I feel like being a triple threat, like, is a superpower. Like, I feel like I
Yeah.
just had so much power and so much tools where I could like challenge a defender on the other team. So
Yeah.
I that's my favorite thing about it.
So when did you decide between slapping versus hitting then?
I would decide like in between, like prior to stepping into the batter's box. So, you know, obviously assessing the situation, the outs, the type of pitcher I'm facing. Um, I would make that decision pitch to pitch and, you know, step out, see my defenders and step back in. So I would just kind of make that decision before stepping into the box. I know. And I always, again, my analogy is as pitchers as well. You know, they step on the mound, they know what pitch they're throwing, like not in between their windup. They're like rise, drop, curve. Like they already know once they take the sign, they set, they get ready, they know what pitch they're doing. So same thing, same philosophy as for us as triple threats. It's like we have all these tools as well. And we're going to be more successful if we're committed to what we're choosing, you know, because where the doubt comes is like, as the pitcher's winding up, I'm punting, I'm slapping him hard. Oh my gosh. Like, you know, it's just like that feeling of over. So when I can commit to something, and sometimes you're wrong, you know, I guess wrong. I said I was going to hard slap at this situation and she, you know, threw me hard down and in, you know, and like I swung over it and missed it, you know? And so yeah, I was wrong, but I think that those are things where you start to recalibrate, learn, and reset yourself and you learn from those things. Okay, maybe in this situation I'll choose something different the next time. So it's not beating yourself up for choosing the wrong thing, but giving yourself a better shot by being able to commit to one thing.
Yeah. And there's no better way to learn than like failing. I mean, we've said it before, but as a slapper, you have to be willing to fail, because you get that low and in fastball and you plan to do something and you were just like, it didn't happen. That's just the game itself. Right. And there's nothing worse than being on defense. Like, I can attest to this. I played second base and first base in college. There's nothing worse than like a slapper who is, you know, first pitch, she's slapping. Second pitch, she's standing in to hit. Like, you get so frustrated because she's got all these ideas and you're just like trying to read her and you can't.
100%.
Like, you're so right. It is a superpower. Like,
it's annoying. Yeah. Being a shortstop too, it's like, gosh, I know exactly how it feels to be on the receiving end of that. So like, use that to your advantage as a slapper or triple threat. Is like, it's you're going, okay, like really figure and what's really annoying is a triple threat who's super intentful. Like, you know that they have a plan. Like, they literally are like, they know what they're up to. They know what they're looking for. They're like, that's like the worst. Like someone who's just up there just trying to, like, you know, doesn't really have a plan, and you can feel that too, you know, when athletes are as a defender. And so when they're really intentful and like really watching you as a shortstop, like, did you cheat on me? I just showed this. Like, where are you going? Where are you moving? Oh, okay. As a defender, like, okay, she's trying to challenge me, you know? And so I think those triple threats here are super intentful for sure.
Absolutely. So I want to be respectful of your time. I can't believe we only have 4 minutes left, but
I know that went so fast.
I know. We'll just have to have you on again then.
Yeah,
but so I want to talk about your slapping academy and all the things that you're up to in your foundation. Maybe we do an entire episode about the foundation. I don't know, but I want people who are interested in the slap, are interested in maybe learning, which I think any parent who has an athlete who's interested in it, parents need to do the research. And I feel like what you're doing online is so incredible. So can you share a little bit about what you're up to and how people can?
So I have an online course and I have a group coaching program, and I don't take girls into my group coaching program unless they've gone through the course. And so again, like just kind of what we talked about is just sharing that love and sharing that knowledge of triple threats and the beauty of it. And like, that's just been where my passion has been, is just motivating and empowering triple threats. Like, slapping's not dead. You know, what is dead is being one-dimensional. And so having, you know, all of these tools and being that true triple threat, that is going to be your superpower. And so like, that's been fun empowering young athletes that way. And so I have a lot of online resources, and it just, honestly, it's filled with experiences and just sharing all of my 30 plus whatever years of experience and just like putting it out there in the world. And so I have a YouTube channel, and I post weekly, and I have a lot of, when people get on my orbit, I guess, I have a email list, and I send a Tasha tip out every single week, and just kind of where I'm at, or just kind of sharing some type of tip or some type of advice. And you can go to my website. You can either go on Instagram. I have a link in my bio, and that's like the best way to get into my orbit with slap hitting. It's one of my favorite things to talk about. Like, time went by so fast, honestly, just talking about slapping. And I never realized like how passionate I was about it until, you have conversations like this. But when you realize it literally was a thing that gave me my superpowers and made me feel like a threat as a competitor playing, I think I'm just forever indebted to it. And so just want to share that knowledge and pass it on to the next.
Yeah. Well, you're doing such an incredible job of it. I've looked at all of those YouTube videos, and these are fire. Like, if I was my younger self, these are things that my dad and I would have loved to have. Like, just, it's all so professional too. Like, and it's so crazy that you talk about how you used to be nervous speaking and now you're doing all these incredible coachings. It's so cool to see that. But absolutely. So all of those resources that you just mentioned, I'll make sure they're in the show notes so people listening can head down there and tap in there and then get in your circle. So they can
get
more
my
about
little
slapping.
orbit. Yes. I know.
Perfect.
I love it.
Perfect. Okay. So I have some final questions for you. They're kind of like just the first thing that comes to mind. Give me your answer and we'll go from there. Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. We'll have fun with this one. All right. So 1, how would you defend yourself? Because you played shortstop. I know. How would you defend yourself if you were playing short and you were also in the box? How would you play yourself, like right now?
I would, oh my gosh, I would just challenge me to hit it past me. So like just knowing me, I was more comfortable with just bouncing the ball, putting the ball and trying to bounce it, get height. Like, I could do that all day, or I would want to do that all day and do that in my sleep. So I would just try to defend that and challenge me to hit it past me.
So good. No, I love it. That's awesome. It kind of showed us what your strengths were as well, like on both ends of the ball, really. Okay. What was the greatest lesson your parents taught you?
That I would advance in anything that I chose on the merit of my character, on the merit of like who I was and how I treat people. And just honestly, like, you go further in life by treating people like this, on the simple things that we know, treating people how you want to be treated, and like your character. And always, one thing my dad was always like, how are you giving value to your teammates? How are you giving value to your friends? Are you waking up and are you bringing light to their world? And, however that is, if it's smile, making them laugh, or whatever it is, and making them better. Like, that's a big thing that my dad was always big on. And my mom is all about the work ethic. So those are a lot, but my parents are a huge part of my life. So I would say those things.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that answer. So what would you tell 12-year-old Natasha?
12-year-old Natasha, I would just tell her to continue just having fun, because 12-year-old Tasha was just having like so much fun. Just continue to have fun and continue to keep falling in love with the game. And I think I would tell 12-year-old Tasha too to, like, it's okay to open up a little bit more. Like I told you, like, growing up, I just was like this little reserve, like in a clam, in a shell. Like, I was just so shy and just so like not wanting to mess up and so timid. I wish I had less of that and just kind of like went for it, because I kind of had a perfectionist bone in me. But I just didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to be different. And I wish that I could flip that switch. It's okay to be different. Because I was different, we all are different.
Yeah.
And be okay to celebrate what was different, and be okay to come out of the shell and just be weird and be awkward, and it's okay.
Yeah. Gotta love our awkward selves, right?
I know.
Absolutely. Well, before I ask you this final question, I just want to thank you so much for giving us your time. You guys don't know this listening, but Natasha, it's like 8 a.m. where she lives right now.
Yes.
She's in Japan coaching.
I'm in Japan.
I know. It's crazy. And I want to learn all the things that you're up to over there. You played over there. You won a bunch of titles over there, and now you're coaching. you are never going to leave this game. You're doing an incredible job.
And that's the plan. I don't want to leave. So
Yeah.
that's the plan. I'm staying in it until I'm 98.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
I know.
I'm going to be texting you all the time. Like, hey, how are you doing it?
I love it. I
love it. All right. Final question. So what's
right.
the legacy you want to leave on this game?
Oh gosh. I think, I don't want my legacy to be anything about what I accomplish on the field. Championships, like those are all personal and like things that like I take home, like that, have fulfilled me. But the legacy that I want to leave is how I made people feel. If they saw me, or if a young girl met me, like, did I empower her to, be the best little woman that she could potentially be? Did I push her? Did I challenge her? Did she see me and say like, well, since Tasha did it, I can too, and I want, I want to, it's more about the feeling and how I made people feel. And I think that that's the legacy I want to leave, and just being able to challenge and empower and impact other people, and so that they can be their best selves. And if that's a softball player or whatever it is, it doesn't have to be softball, but just being their best selves. And if I could be a reminder or help for that, that's the legacy I want to leave.
Well, as that young slapper that looked up to slappers like you and Caitlin Lowe growing up, I can tell you it's working. All the things that you want to leave on this game, they're happening. And it's incredible to get to know you. Thank you so much for being on the show. This was an absolute blast.
Likewise, and thanks for having this show and having me on it, and so much fun getting to chat with you. And like, I feel like we could probably be chatting for like the next 3 hours about this game, right? So
yes.
Thank you so much for what you're doing for the game, and shedding some light on those young athletes. So thank you.
Thanks so much. We'll have to continue this conversation post.
Yes.
Yeah, some other time. Awesome. Well, you got to run to practice, so we got to sign off, but thanks again so much. We'll talk soon.
Take care. Thanks, Sasha.
You're welcome. See ya.
Can I hang up? I'm going to hang up.
Okay.